Can you believe it? We made it 2 weeks in a row. That's right. It's Juice. It's Drew. It's Drew and Juice. Drew, how you doing, man? Late night.
I'm all right,
Friday
man.
night.
It is. It is a
Yeah.
late night. It is Friday night. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. Juice, I love me some Juice, but his openings, they need a little work, don't they?
Here's the thing. How about next week? You do it.
All right.
How about that? We'll see what we
All
got
right.
then. But
All right.
overall, it's funny because you were like, "Oh, let's do one on Friday night after SmackDown," and it just didn't even occur to me. Oh, SmackDown ends at 11 now.
It is late,
Great.
Juice. It is late.
Yeah, but I
It
mean,
is.
what better way to spend my Friday night, late night, when I have to work tomorrow morning than to be right here with you?
Well, the work doesn't ever stop here. At the ticketing world, there are no days off. So
That's right. That's right. No days off.
there you go.
So, I
There you
mean,
go.
SmackDown just concluded. Anything specific from that particular show from San Diego that you'd like to drop on here?
A lot of people, dog on the 3 hours, and I get it. I know why WWE is doing it. For me, it is long. So I'm not gonna I watch pay-per-views that are this long, PLEs that are this long. But I think weekly episodic television for me, I'd like to hit that 2 hour, 30 minutes, just me. What about you? Do you think it's too long?
It's just weird because we've been conditioned for 3 hours with Raw, and then we were like, oh wow, 2 hours for that 2-month period before it went to Netflix. Now we're getting that sweet spot of what was it, 2:30 and change this past week on Raw. That's right where I want it. And now SmackDown is 3 hours in it. But although I did see this week, it seems like May or June they're gonna flip back to 2 hours. So enjoy it while you can. Hopefully, in that amount of time, they can build stars to have equity more than just the normal guys and girls that would be on a 2-hour show, so that when they do go to 2 hours, they can interchange them and they'll all be over by then. So that's ideally, it's not a perfect plan.
Yeah, look, listen, I think when the flow of the show just flows and it's not like, oh man, like this is starting to get long in the tooth, I think I have
We're going to talk
with
about the MJF Jeff Jarrett segment later. So
I think the flow and everything else, like I wouldn't mind a 3-hour show. This one kind of dragged a little bit for me. I dug the Cody Kevin stuff. I dug the Kevin Rey Mysterio stuff. I dug the Braun Strowman Jacob Fatu stuff, which
we're
we'll
going to
get
that.
to.
Yeah.
And I dug the end, Bailey getting a title match, Tiff defending the Charlotte promo. But there was a lot of things where I was kind of like, my kid, I want to say this, my son, I haven't put it out on social media, but I will, maybe tomorrow. My son loves the Motor City Machine Guns. I would have never thought it, but you know what it is? It's the presentation. He loves like the bang, bang, and then the whole it's
Would
a
he have
big
been
deal.
a Cactus Jack fan back in the day?
I knew that was going to get a rise out of you. I don't know. I was a huge Foley fan back in the day. I was a big Cactus Jack guy. So.
Yeah. What's your favorite face of Foley?
Cactus
and you
Jack.
Can't say
1,000%.
Okay.
1,000%. Cactus Jack was just that guy for me. I remember the Rumble 2000. That was just that whole build. Like that's a work of art. Foley takes off the mask and he's got the blood-soaked white shirt and he goes, "You're right, Mankind is in no condition to face you at the Royal Rumble, but I know a man who is, and it's Cactus Jack."
I remember his like voice cracking when he says Cactus Jack, because he like just turned into that character. It was a wonderful thing to see. And to be at the Garden, Triple H had been a star up to that point, but I feel like Triple H was made after that, which is interesting because Randy Orton, I felt, was made after he had a match with Cactus Jack. So,
I think Foley's done so much for the business. And realistically, like the business took so much from him. But I think Mick was one of the few performers who on his way out made sure, and even when he was out, made sure to continue to, set the building blocks and put over guys for the next generation. So
true. Yeah.
Mick's fingerprints are all over WWE TV today. So
absolutely. And you said like the wrestling business took a lot from him. I think he gave a lot to the business. It is that traditional like give and take in regards to his body, but then his body of work as well. I mean, you can look at it a bunch of different ways. We got a lot of different fun topics I feel like we can discuss tonight. Where would you like to start? We got a little AEW, we got a little WWE.
I don't do that.
We're going to dive into some divisional round picks, I think, later on in the show, because, I like me some NFL playoff action. And you
me
do
too.
well.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell you where to start. Juice pops in here about 5 10 minutes before we start, and we check audio and do a little sound check or whatever else. Look at the pictures here and make sure everyone looks like $1,000,000. But other
That'll
than that,
never happen.
we don't talk about, what he's gonna ask me. I just let it go. So, and I like
That's
it.
right.
It's
It
organic.
is organic.
Question.
Yeah.
Let's get to a question here. How about that? What's
What
your
was
favorite era? I'll let Juice go first. Go ahead. He's a WCW
man.
guy. Spoiler alert.
I am, as you see my nice WCW.
Where the hell did
button-up
you
shirt.
get that?
You can find anything online, Drew.
Oh God. All right, go ahead.
So, I mean, my favorite era, it's easy to say for me because I lived it. And it's, as we get older and further away from it, it's tougher for younger fans to understand how pivotal the Monday Night Wars were. And that's where I would stand during that mid 90s. WWE was a juggernaut in the late 80s. And then in the early 90s, they kind of fell off and were doing high school gyms and all these things. WCW came along and was kind of doing nothing as well. And then all of a sudden they popped off. They had a Monday night show, Monday Night Nitro.
Thanks to Hulk Hogan.
Of course, thanks to Hulk Hogan. But I mean, then it blows up. They're going against each other one-on-one each and every Monday night for 4.5-ish years. And I just don't think you'll ever see anything like that again. And it made each company go to a level that, quite frankly, it might never get that way again. So that would be my personal favorite. But how about you, Drew? You're a little bit more long in the tooth than I am. You've been around this earth a little bit longer. So
yeah, I got a little more gray in my beard. So Mr. Abreu, I would say my favorite era to watch wrestling. I think if anybody really wants to study wrestling, like the art form and even the marketing and the business and the competitiveness, for me, I know a lot of people like old and NWA and all that other stuff because the Flair and Steamboat stuff was great. The Dusty stuff was great as well. But I'm going to tell you this, for me, my favorite era of professional wrestling is from 96 to 1998, because I just think you saw so much change and the peak of both companies. In my, WWE then started to beat the shit out of WCW in like 99-ish. The tide had turned.
Oh yeah.
And for me, like that 96 to 98, you kind of saw WWE with their backs against the wall, and it was very bare bones for WWE. They were running like civic centers. And don't get me wrong, they had their big pay-per-views at MSG, and then they ran the Alamo Dome for Rumble 97. Yep. But it really was a pivotal time for both. WCW had a rocket ship that was, strapped to their back, and they were off to the races, and WWE was fighting for their lives. So I'm going to go 96 to 98.
And just to play off that, right in the middle is my personal favorite, and I would say best overall year in wrestling, which is 97. I mean, the countless amount of things that happened in that year. Like the NWO got formed the year before. Steve Austin got crowned the year after, but everything in between was unbelievable.
And WrestleMania 13 kind of tipped everything, because without that, we're not seeing the rise of Steve. We're not seeing Brett go into this whole like I hate America character, which he turned heel and then ran with the Hart Foundation.
And we know how that ended too. But that changed the scope of kayfabe as we know it.
And then, Shawn not wanting to work, quote unquote, WrestleMania 13 changed everything. It changed everything. So yeah, 97 for me.
Absolutely. That's, I mean, we look back on those times fondly, and with Peacock may or may not having certain things, and now Netflix is not having certain Raws. It's tough to get in and find some of these older episodes to go back and watch. So I hope that they put forth all that content back on wherever they have.
How about one more question?
Let's do it.
One more question. We'll go back to Mr. Abreu, and then I see some others. We'll do those at the end of the show. If you have the power to change one WrestleMania match ending, any match, what's it going to be?
Drew, you got to go first on this one. I got to marinate.
I was going to say, so do I.
What's a finish?
I mean, being 2020, I'm giving Shawn the belt at WrestleMania 20. Okay. When he had
that's crazy, because if you look at it legitimately, that was the right call.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it.
Winning was the best call.
I was just saying hindsight being 2020 now. I'm just trying to,
but
if I had to,
I think
if I had to pick one,
Brett defeating Shawn at WrestleMania 12.
Get the fuck out of here. Main event ending, man. That's a good question. I know Cena had, was the man, and he was, off to the races. I'm going to go with Cena dropping the title to Shawn at WrestleMania 23. I think that would have sent some shockwaves. John could have chased a little bit. Triple H was nowhere near coming back yet.
Yeah.
And Shawn could have maybe gone back to like that real heel, like asshole character we saw in 96, 97. I would have
Right
liked
where
that.
you just were discussing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with that one.
I am going to talk about Bret Hart. I think WrestleMania 9. Give
Oh,
me
okay.
Yokozuna winning clean, and that's it. Have the heel dominate, win the title, and that's it. He goes into, shout out to Phil, going on, and who knows when he loses the title. He could have held it longer than just, he did. And then he won it back at King of the Ring, of course, but maybe he holds it past that, and maybe that changes things. Maybe Luger does end up winning the championship at SummerSlam, and you just take a chance instead of going back to the hot dog skin well one more time.
Yeah, I could see it. I would have loved to have seen the fans lose their mind at WrestleMania 30 and not have Bryan be crowned, but that crowd was hot for Daniel.
Of all, well, I would have said maybe 29 have Rock just beat Cena 2-0.
So we stand corrected. Any
wrestling. It doesn't have to be the main event. Oh my God, man.
I don't know. That's another tough one.
I'm trying to think of just matches that left a bad taste in our mouth. There's not that many that I feel like.
Yeah.
The Mania 35 main event should have taken place earlier than midnight. I'll tell you that.
We could have flipped the women's main event there for a couple other matches because that match. Yeah, I don't know.
It's tough. It's tough to come up with something. Because 40 WrestleManias, and a lot of the stuff we did it's kind of tough. I don't know. That's a very good question. See, you want me to prepare things that you don't know, and we get stuff that we both don't know. We got to think about, in a deeper way.
All right, go ahead, start the show, would you?
Oh, will I? I will. Let's just get right into it. We just talked about it a little bit before the show, with Rey Mysterio having a segment and what have you. He is officially entered in the Royal Rumble. Damn it, Drew. I mentioned this on the Juice Box this past week. Just in general with the Royal Rumble over all these years, it's always, maybe like 4 or 5 guys or girls could win, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that's been entered in this match, maybe outside of Rey Mysterio, I could legitimately see winning the Royal Rumble, and I wouldn't have a problem. And it's Rey Mysterio, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, Roman, Jey Uso, Punk, Cena, and LA Knight. It's loaded, and we still got 22 more to go. Hopefully they only announce 10 more. Maybe we get some surprises finally.
Yeah, I would say it's a good statement and question. I would say that for me, I was just talking about this with a friend of ours. Shout out to Blake Mitchmore. And I said, you really got to pay attention to the Rumble, and a lot of people don't. A lot of people just pay attention to the final 2 or the person who wins it. Nobody really remembers who the last person in the Rumble is. It's all about the winner. Just like nobody remembers who the runner-up of the Super Bowl is. It's the winner of the Super Bowl.
Unless you're the Bills.
Right. But I will say that if you go back and watch, especially last year's Rumble, and I'll do it here on the show because I think it makes for good content and good discussion. The last 6 participants in last year's Royal Rumble, do you think you can name them? The final 6. Obviously, Cody and Punk. And they had big years in WWE minus an injury.
Man, you just put me on the spot. Right. LA Knight was one of them, maybe?
No, see, Blake said the same thing. No, he wasn't. So it was Punk, Cody, Gunther had a big year in WWE.
Oh, okay? Gunther was one I was, because he had a long time in there.
Damian Priest, who had another big year in WWE. Yep. Drew McIntyre had massive a very year. Right. And I'm forgetting the 6th right now off the top of my head, but they're the 5. So if you look at it, I'm the 5th or the 6th will come to me. Sami Zayn. So, and he had a big year. So if you look at it, you need to pay attention to the final 4, the final 5, the final 6 of the Royal Rumble. Now this year is laughable because John Cena, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Rey Mysterio, Rey Mysterio. There's so many people that are heavy hitters in that you you know that Cena, Rollins, Punk, I would even say Roman are probably your final four, and they're all going to have big years. But I will say years prior, when we did a test, like if you go back, there are, with an exception, maybe one or two, for the past like 5 or 6 years, the final 4 to final 5 participants in the Royal Rumble all had fantastic years.
I always look back at the final 4 being like, you've made it. And I think there was a year, now I think it was probably a Hogan win, but Brian Knobbs was in a final 4, if I'm not mistaken. And that's
Shane McMahon was in a final 4 recently too. And that's where me and Blake were kind of like, okay, Shane's kind of.
Do you know who was 7th in last year's? The 7th guy?
Bad Bunny?
Ricochet.
Oh, okay.
It's just interesting where he went now, because before him was Jey Uso, and it's like,
and Ricochet had a good showing in last year's Rumble, because if I remember correctly, my son was watching
by Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, my son was watching, and I think he was in like the final 8, 9, 10 participants. So whatever the case may be, this year's Rumble is absolutely stacked. It's very reminiscent of like 92 and some other really stacked 2001, some really stacked Rumbles 2003, where you know you had Triple H, Perfect, Angle. There were some other people in there that you were just like, obviously Perfect wasn't going to win.
I think that was 02. Yeah.
Was it 02?
Yeah.
In Atlanta. Yep. Taker. There were some people in there, that I was just like, anybody can win this. And realistically, this Rumble stacked. I mean, I'm going to say I've been with Cena for a while now, him winning this, but I could easily see Punk winning and Cena winning the Chamber in Toronto. So
I likely think that's more likely to happen, purely because you can still play off the Cena not winning and go, oh, well, I guess I still don't have it. Too bad. Yeah. Oh, I'm in the Chamber.
Right.
And it's all over. We're right back to it. So,
And I think Cena will absolutely get that chase and that championship opportunity against Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. So.
Oh, but Drew, face versus face doesn't happen in 2025. That's not allowed.
I mean, Triple H is kind of like really breaking those walls down. No pun intended.
Chris Jericho is going to be on the
right.
show.
There you go. I said, I know, but I will say this person will definitely, I think he's going to get a shot. Cardona.
Hey, speaking of who, he's on the big GCW show this Sunday. I will be tuning in,
wait.
But nobody knows who Matt Cardona is going to be facing. So that is some intrigue.
Maybe Sabu.
I've thought about that, because I know Sabu's announced, but he's not in any of the match listings. And I think there's another match that doesn't have a participant. So who knows where he fits in, but give me Sabu and Matt Cardona, the Deathmatch King. Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to be watching GCW. I talked to Brett Lauderdale yesterday.
Wow.
And I'm excited.
On the payroll.
Right. Excited for, Brett was nice enough to take some questions and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, they're doing really big attendance right now. So, and they're doing good ticket sales. So good for them. I'm looking forward to GCW. I'm looking forward to Cardona. I'm looking forward to the Bloodsport match.
Oh my God. Yeah. Formerly Baron Corbin going in to go against Josh Barnett. I think that's going to
forward to that.
He's going to prove a lot of people wrong, because there's even me to an extent, but he definitely turned it around when he went to NXT and flipped the script with Braun Breaker. And I even liked his bum ass Corbin thing, but I think they turned him into a rich guy way too quickly. Like, they didn't let it breathe enough to where I could really enjoy it and then sink my teeth into it. But some people never gave Baron Corbin a chance, and he's an athletic big man. He can really do a lot in there, and I'm excited to see what he's got going on with a Bloodsport match. So
I'm with you there too. I really, really am intrigued with that. And there's a heavy ECW influence on this show, and that's smart on them to do so. So
yeah, Tajiri, Guido, and Super Crazy as a tag team instead of having a triple threat, which is a fun play off their ECW.
Yeah, and then you got Joey Janela taking on Tanaka.
Tanaka.
Which, listen, Tanaka and Mike Awesome, I was in the building for that match. That match was unbelievable. So.
It's one of my favorite matches to rewatch. I probably watched it 50, 60 times back. And it's only a 10-minute match, but they do like a year's worth of damage in one match. So. So
somebody says, what about having Cena win King of the Ring? Something he's never done before. I think that could work too. I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. I just think John is the John and Cody match. He wants it so, like, I know Cody wants it so bad.
I just think that's too late to get things started with him winning. If he's going to win the world title and have a big thing happen, why would you save it for the back end of the year when everybody knows December will likely be actually it? You would want to pull that trigger at WrestleMania, get him the big moment, and then you could still have big moments along the way. But I don't see him not winning or the world title at Mania and then maybe at SummerSlam. I think you can have a big moment at Mania, then have a big moment at SummerSlam additionally. So I don't think John Cena wants to win King of the Ring. I have no inside knowledge on that, but I just have a feeling he wants the world title.
Yeah.
So we talked about venues there, and let's dive into some venue talk with a little AEW action. This is some positivity, though, I will say. Well, at least it starts off that way. They ran this building in Cincinnati the other night, and they taped Collision, right, as well?
Yes.
It looked wonderful.
It sounded wonderful too.
Sounded wonderful. The acoustics were great. It was very intimate, much like a Hammerstein. I love that the hard cam showed the announce desk like right. I don't know. It was like an interesting perspective. You just don't see a venue like that.
Yeah, it was right on top of the entranceway.
So I think that this is something that we've discussed before, and just fans in general have been wanting this type of thing. Swallow your pride a little bit. Take lesser capacity buildings. Sell them better than you would a bigger building, and you're going to still make some money, make affordable tickets. The crowd's going to look great. You're going to look better on TV, and that's going to, have more fans want to go to your bigger shows that you promote. I just think it's a smart idea, and maybe they even run a residency at some spots like this and capitalize on that. I know they're going to do that probably again in Dallas. So, Drew, you think it's a smart idea? Just how about the Cincinnati building as a whole? What are your thoughts on that?
I dug the Cincinnati building. I think there's a lot of opportunity for AEW to do more in terms of scouting unique buildings and being able to sell the entire building due to, strategic placement of a ring or anything else like that, and maybe, realistically, I don't need an elaborate giant stage. I don't. You could get rid of what they have. You could probably fit another 300, 400, 500 people in there. I know if they did that for Hammerstein, they would have probably had about 16, 17,000 people in there. But I mean, AEW's production is right up there. They know what they're doing and stuff like that. So I get it, and they want to have top-notch production. But for me, let's cut the entrance ramp. Let's get an ass every 18 inches. That's the goal, and let's be a little bit more selective. Let's not just pick things where it's like, all right, this is a 3,000 seat building, so that's where we'll go. Like, I'm sure they're venue scouting to a certain extent, but I think they could have done a little bit more in terms of making sure that they could actually sell the entire building out rather than having to tarp things off because it is a theater. But I dug the acoustics. I dug the visual aspect. I think it's a really cool, small, intimate venue.
And you brought up, less is more. Even WWE's debut on Netflix. They just had that little entranceway. They've been doing that where they sell out behind the entranceway, but it's not a massive entranceway like a Mania where you can't see. So it's, again, even more intimate. And then you get like CM Punk comes out and can look at those fans, acknowledge them, and they're a part of the show too. It just makes things better when you kind of encapsulate it like that.
So when I was I think the first time they started doing it in terms of I shouldn't say the first time, but the first time I experienced it was when they did it for WrestleMania weekend in Philly. We were at the SmackDown and in the Hall of Fame. And it was, the wrestlers were coming out and I was literally on top of them. Like I was the first row right below the stage and, or on top of the stage. And I thought it was just unique, but your product needs to be white hot for that to people to want to sit behind the stage and get that view. So, that building, the Intuit Dome, is a unique building that you really don't need an elaborate stage because they have that halo thing. They have the lights, they have everything. Not every building. Yeah, not every building is going to have that. So I think WWE's doing a really good job of getting an ass every 18 inches and making sure that they can maximize on the spaces that they have. So.
Absolutely. And, to the point before where I was saying, there's a little bit of positivity here with AEW. In that same building, though, the product does have to happen. As they say, the bell rings or the microphones get turned on. And we had a lengthy promo segment between one Maxwell Jacob Friedman and JEFF JARRETT. And That is my thought exactly, Drew. It went way too long.
Yeah.
The line seemed very forced. And I also just don't know the end game. Is MJF gonna like help Jeff Jarrett and then turn on him? Is this now we're gonna get this Karen Jarrett thing? Is this really gonna happen? You called it last week.
I mean, it should. I would, if I'm doing this, I would have Karen Jarrett like fall madly in love with Max after. I think Karen could cost Jeff the rematch. I think Max takes an L with like a small package or a quick boy, like a roll up to schoolboy or something. And Max is like, you got to be kidding me. I just lost to this geezer. Like that type of stuff. Like that was.
I want the guitar, Drew. The guitar.
Well, maybe. Well, you got lucky, and they get a rematch at a pay-per-view. And I would like to see Karen cost Jeff and Max and Karen just, kissing on the stage, like, and just
Karen's sick.
Karen's just so with, she's all about Max. That works for me. Otherwise this shit sucks. Like the promo on
You're not allowed to say anything negative about AEW, Drew. Come on.
It's constructive criticism. The promo on Wednesday was just bad. It was just bad.
They were just like forcing like lines that were potentially, fringe to begin with. And then they were just like Jeff. Keep going. They doubled down on him.
Yeah, I like Jeff. I understood what they were trying to accomplish. Like I could see how, they wanted to get to a point where Jeff was provoked to where he punched Max, and I get it. Like that was job well done. With the hey, you mentioned Owen, I'm gonna knock you out, and he did. Like that got him going. I get it. So that's the hot button topic, and Max knows that now. But I don't think anybody, and I have an immense amount of respect for Jeff Jarrett, but nobody wants to see Jeff Jarrett winning the world championship in AEW in 2025. Probably the only person that wants to see it is probably Blake Mitchmore and Jeff Jarrett.
And me.
I'm sure
I'm on board.
You want to watch the internet burn. That's why you want it to happen.
I like good, chaos. And I like Jeff Jarrett. I was a big fan of his tyrannical run in TNA. So give me one more ride for the King of the Mountain.
Thanks.
Come on, Drew.
No thanks. Listen,
well, everybody thought Hobbs was going to win the title, and that didn't happen. So
everybody with two brain cells rattling around in their head.
They thought he was going to come out there like Luger and beat Hogan.
I saw this.
What is that?
And everyone was like, "Yo, they should do this. You want to talk about shock?" And then what? You fucking morons! It's late. I can curse. You
Spine buster 1, 2, 3, 5-second match.
All right.
Get him over.
So hold up. I love Willie Hobbs. I think Hobbs is a dog. I think he's got a ton. And now he's a main event player, in my opinion. You got to keep him there. But Hobbs wins the championship, and then what are you gonna do? You're gonna take it off him in 30 days, and then you have everybody outraged with that. Get the fuck out of here. Go stack marbles on the freeway.
You take the title away from him 3 days later at Road Wild. That's what you do.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like we're not, you know what? WCW went out of business, okay? So let's take some lessons. Don't make Jeff Jarrett a world champion and do not hotshot world titles.
And they've been saying, a lot of people have been saying, oh man, AEW's like WCW 2000. First of all, none of you people probably watched WCW 2000 because not many people did. And half of them weren't even around anyway. And, there was some good stuff, but Jeff Jarrett winning the world title is very WCW 2000. It happened a lot.
Yeah. The only thing I need if Jeff Jarrett wins that world title is I need like Beetlejuice and Vince Russo to pop out to congratulate him. That's it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a live sex celebration.
No.
With MJF, if he gets the win with Karen.
I like that.
That's some heat.
Brother. Literally.
Talking about no heat or no promotion. Let's talk a little Grand Slam Australia, Drew. By the way, do you know when it's airing? Is it a pay-per-view?
I don't fucking know. I have no fucking idea. No, so I know that it is
we all know now.
Right. It's a special, it's a collision special, which is fine. But you know what? Listen, that was not how it was originally presented. I was on calls with Tony, media calls and everything else like that, that being Tony Khan. And although I will give Tony the credit on this one, he was like, I think how the distribution of that show is yet to be seen, which to his credit, that is what he said. But I will say that this was marketed and promoted as a big show. It was never just another episode of Dynamite or Collision. Okay.
Right, and that's what I'm glad you brought that up. It was, I believe, the Full Gear Scrum. He said it's going to be a little difficult with the distribution, and I don't know how many fans are going to watch it at whatever early in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, if your fans want to watch your product, they'll watch it at any time. See
Yeah, dude.
Elimination Chamber in Australia. See
I had
Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, I had people calling me at 4:00 in the morning, being like, "Hey, you having people over for Chamber?" I was like, "No, no." You know,
Sickos.
yeah. Well, it's my buddy who comes over all the time, and I was like, "No," and he's like, "All right, whatever." He's like, "Do you mind if I
Okay.
come over Friday, stay the night, and we can?" And I was like, "What?"
Unhinged.
Yeah. Well, I
Sleep
get
over
it.
at Drew's. We got to watch the pay-per-view.
Right. I was just like, no, but these are diehard fans, man. They're diehard, want to watch the product.
So if your product is good and you believe it's good, you should put it on at whatever. And then look, don't you have a deal now with Max? Put it on there immediately, and then people can watch it
Well,
whenever they wake up, right?
I don't know how that technically works, because I want to say that the NBA, or like 3-point
Oh
shootout, is
my
going to be going.
God.
Well, I don't know if it'll be going at that time, but I'm not, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is a conflict though, but if that's the case too, you got to set this up in advance. And then this is another like sidebar of this. I saw how they, AEW has had a tough time with just like announcing shows in advance, like pay-per-views based
Mhm.
on WWE kind of being like, all right, well, we'll kind of dance around and we'll throw an event near there around the same time. And it's kind of like we kind of have to keep it close to the vest so that those types of things don't happen,
Right.
So it's
Yeah. Like
it's
I
tough.
said, to Tony Khan's credit, he did say, I don't know how the distribution is going to be for this yet. I think it's, we'll let our media partners,
Yeah.
come out with that. But I will
And he
say
did.
that, yeah, but he did not say that this, I think it's going to be a Dynamite/Collision special, because that's not how it was booked.
And for the people that are so like, well, I don't know why you didn't know. Like, of course, it was never going to be a pay-per-view. If you just Google like AEW Grand Slam Australia, every article is like very recent saying, look at this utter confusion because it just got announced that it's actually not a pay-per-view, because midway through Dynamite is when they really were like, no, it's going to be this time.
Well,
They didn't say
yeah,
anything.
and I think the ticket sales, the moving of the event, I think they were in a 30,000 seat building and they had about 10,000 sold. So they moved it from the stadium to the arena, which I thought was smart. You
Yeah.
don't want to have an event, looking ridiculous, especially one of your first major events on your new streaming and your new media rights deal.
And it's the
So
first
for
one in
me,
Australia.
yeah, so I thought it was smart. You make a big bang coming out of the gate with that type of stuff and make a good first impression. But again, I think the lack of promotion, the lack of this, ever since they had to change venues, I think they already deemed it as like I'm not too pleased with this, so we're just gonna kind of have the event and then move on from it. So I think
And
it's a
see,
shame.
that's what bothers me. I feel like AEW is so caring, and it's not like they don't care, but like they put so much effort into promoting every show months in advance. All in, they do like a year in advance, and they announce Dynamites and Collisions, and they go over every single match. And Excalibur is out of breath by the time he does it, and for them to go, well, it's not going how we want, even though it's our first show in Australia. Don't you want to make a good impression? Sure,
Right.
the ticket sales are there, but it's like,
Yeah.
put it over to the American audience too. We
Well, and
want
that's
to see a good product everywhere.
Yeah, that's the thing, like for me, like I'm in marketing, promotions, and ticket sales. And for me, I was never going to go to Australia. I would have liked to have, but I was never
Sure.
going to go. So for me, hype it up, make me want to watch it live, just like we did with Elimination Chamber and some other shows, Wrestle Kingdom, whatever. Make it must see, make it can't miss. Hit me with ads, make the matches meaningful. Give me some promos, some reels, some whatever, and make it so that I want to make it, that I have to get up. Make it destination television or a destination event. And you know what? I don't think they have. And like I said on I think it was my video or maybe my post, I said, how many times have we been told that Saturday night's main event is January 25th
Oh my
live on
God, I
Peacock?
know. It's not that hard.
Right.
And it's annoying. You see a banner for their next pay-per-view Revolution. You see a huge banner in the arena permanently for All In. Would it hurt you to just be like, hey, Grand Slam? And
I understand.
go ahead.
Maybe they're not happy. I get it. And maybe they're not
Sure,
pleased, but don't treat
just
this like the
cancel the show
redheaded
then? Like,
stepchild. Yeah, don't treat this like the redheaded stepchild. Like, make me want to watch, this show, because I'm sure there's going to be some very big matches on this,
And that was something else I thought was pretty rich. I saw someone being like, you guys are so upset that you don't have to spend, like, you're wanting to spend $60 on a Tony Storm Mariah May match. And it's like, that's not the first off, that's not the point. Second of all, you're proving our point too, because the fact that there's only one match set up for this show, even if it's in a month in advance, don't you think you want to anchor it with something that's like, I can't wait to see this? Now it is going to be a grandized collision.
Yeah. Again,
and what happens if the ratings suck because it's on TNT?
Well, what I'll say to you is, like, I think if we had 20,000 tickets sold, if AEW had 20,000 tickets sold, I think this would be a bigger deal than what it is. And I think that's an issue. I think, you need to market and promote all of your big shows equally and make sure that, I think this needs more promotion than all of the stuff that's sold well and continues to sell well, because this is something that obviously missed the mark. So how do we fix that? We got to pivot, we got to adjust, and we got to really hammer this. Saturday night's main event's not sold out. WrestleMania is not sold out, and that's because of the ticket strategies and taxes that WWE is doing. Right, but that's what I'm saying. But how many friggin' times did we see a WrestleMania single ticket sales, coming up Wednesday? The Elimination Chamber, the prices are high in Toronto.
Pre-sale,
they're not doing well.
Email.
Yeah. And we got the QR code tonight. Like, it's just, and they're marketing and promoting it. Like, I know when the Chamber is. I know when the Royal Rumble is. I know when Saturday night's main event is, because they hit you with 9 million ads. What they're doing is they're like blindly, it's, there's marketing terms for it, but I'm not going to give you them because people would be like, what does that mean? But they're basically like imprinting it into your brain.
It's subconscious. It's
right.
I can't think of the term right now. Subliminal.
Exactly right. You sit back and it's subliminal marketing where it's like January 25th live on Peacock. I could recite their whole ads because
we know exactly where it's going to be, what date it's going to be. You already know. I don't know. And I just hate the like defense of it as if like, oh, well, it's just fine. It'll be fine. This ticket's already sold. Okay. But like, why is that just like good enough?
That doesn't stop your promotion. That doesn't stop your promotion because you sold a building well.
That's crazy.
And
it is. The other argument's like, well, fans in the United States, like you just said, are never going to go there or whatever. Like they're in Ohio, like that's where they were. They're never going to.
Okay, cool, but make me want to watch it at 2:30 in the morning.
Right. And the other point is, okay, but Revolution's in California, that's across the country, and Texas is in another corner of the country. How many people from Ohio do you think are going to go to those shows either?
Right.
Like, so who cares though? You want to promote the event to everybody because everybody seemingly is a fan and would want to watch it regardless.
And I love it how they're like, why would they hammer ads in the United States? Why the fuck not? Why not? Tell me when, tell me where, tell me how, and sell me on big fight feel matches. Can't miss matches. Sell me on some stories or whatever. Come on.
And they hammer the stuff for Forbidden Door, and that's like a joint show, let alone this is just straight up AEW, and they're like, it's okay. That's
whatever.
It's a lame, it's like defeatist attitude. Like we couldn't do what we wanted to do, so fuck it. And it's like WWE would never let that happen. And this is not a WWE versus AEW thing. It's just like, you want to be a top company, you want to show that you can do this, then you just have to go above just going through the motions. You have to extend the effort, reach for the first down line, reach for that extra yard, do something else. I don't know. It just seems, it almost comes off like lazy. Like, again, like they're defeated.
And I get that it's not what they wanted it to be, but I think this is the time to absolutely hammer it for me.
Speaking of hammer, and we've been talking recently. I don't know. You're talking about ink being dry on something. I don't know what the hell you're talking about when you're being, vague as hell.
You will see very shortly.
I will see, or the world will see.
The world will see very shortly.
I'm kind of nervous for that. Is it going to affect me?
No.
Is it going to affect this great program 2 weeks in?
No.
You're going to cancel us, Drew?
Not yet. No.
Oh, come on. We got to make it a couple more weeks.
40. What was it? 42? You said
42 or 43. Yeah.
All right. Good.
But the ink is dry, and the contract does say WWE and TNA have struck a partnership. Everybody's up in arms.
Boy, who would have thought? If I don't have the tweet like lock, stock, and barrel here. I don't have it up, but I put out a tweet maybe like 2 months ago, or maybe 2 months ago, saying I guarantee you WWE and TNA are going to be working together sooner rather than later. And here we are. And I'm going to say this. I think that WWE, TNA, and GCW will all be working together.
I think they already have done stuff like that. And I think GCW probably that WWE's willing to work now.
Yeah.
It's not foreign to be like, who the hell's TNA? And I love the fact that TNA was TNA. It was just always the alternative, and it was great. And then it kind of fell off. It turned into Impact, and then it regained TNA, and now WWE's going to work with them. The roller coaster is unbelievable. And for us to sit here 20 years after maybe the beginning of the peak of TNA, in my mind, for them to be literally in a working agreement with WWE I love it. I'm here. It helps the business grow. And if you're against it, you're a hater or a tribalistic.
Yeah. To me, it's funny, like WWE and TNA working together. Okay, cool. AEW and New Japan.
And they had been with NXT already. Like, what are we talking about?
I don't care who works with each other. I think it's great for the wrestling business. Like, I see some people being like, WWE is going to kill TNA. Nah, it's not going to happen. They need them in business.
They could have already.
Right.
They easily could do it.
Yeah, they need them in business because it helps them just like it helps TNA. Like, where the Hardys fit in right now in WWE television? They don't, but they fit perfectly in WWE or TNA television. So keep them there. All that stuff.
Talent can go back and forth.
Yeah, you can have your
WWE poaching talent from TNA. That's all they want to do. Okay, but like we mentioned,
and look at GCW, dude. There's a lot of like GCW talent that I feel could be, kind of maybe getting a new, fresh coat of paint.
And we mentioned it last week about like how ridiculous it is saying, oh, all AEW has are WWE guys. Okay, but like everybody works everywhere throughout their careers. You're never just gonna again. Sting worked in WWE, so now like. Whatever.
WWE has so many independent partners already with the WWE ID partnership, and now they just
people hate that too, though.
Right,
and now that's monopolizing the independent scene, and it's
to a certain extent. I mean, I get that,
but it's gonna help.
Yeah, and now TNA. So, and again, I believe GCW is not too far behind. And again, I think TNA's headed to television. I think weekly on a platform or
Wednesday nights at 8:00.
I could see that. I could absolutely see that. I think that, we need to cut the
insane.
Well, I think we need to cut the shit that WWE doesn't view them. Like they don't view AEW as competition. Do I think that WWE believes that AEW is in the same stratosphere as them? No, but they don't like anybody else playing in their sandbox unless they have approval from WWE to play in their sandbox. So yeah, they're going to silently try and squash them. And it's not silently anymore. For me, when TNA announced these big venues, one of them being on Long Island, UBS Arena. My arena
in Long Island?
No. My arena where my New York Islanders play. I thought to myself, I think I have to stack that son of a bitch. And here we are. So I think they will. AJ Styles might be on it.
Oh,
you never know who's going to be on it. Truthfully, with WWE on the bill. I mean, even this weekend, you got Genesis and it's TNA NXT Genesis.
I love that. I just love everything about it. It just, what does it harm? Unless it's literally conspiracy theories of like, Phil, I'm not saying Phil's doing that, but it's just like people are saying WWE's only doing this to eventually buy TNA. One, they have unlimited funds to buy a company if they wanted to. It is right there. Like they could do it.
The writing was on the wall like literally months and months and months ago when TNA kind of partnered with Endeavor. And I was like, huh? And then all of a sudden now it's like just PR official. And I was like,
it's starting, look back at Mickie James being a knockout champion, being in the Rumble. It's like, oh, okay. And not only that, but they're saying she's a knockout champion. They're acknowledging on WWE TV that TNA exists.
Yeah.
And is a thing. And like, she's good and she's worth it. And again, she was a WWE commodity, but I can't believe it. She went to TNA and now, now they're referencing her. And they could do the same thing with Nick Nemeth and plenty of other talent. Brian Myers, formerly Kurt Hawkins. There's so many different guys and girls that have gone between two worlds. And I don't know. I just think it's better for everybody involved. And I'm looking forward to, potentially a PLE between the two. Give me that. Let's do it.
Yeah.
When worlds collide.
I think that's going to happen. The other thing that I think is absolutely going to happen is like I think you need to pay attention to tomorrow or Sunday's pay-per-view from TNA, and I think you need to pay attention to GCW. I want to see the production. If production looks A1, then there you go.
It's just
GCW
like crazy fireworks and shit. It's like, oh,
well, that's not going to
man.
happen.
I wonder who's
at
funding this show.
That's not going to happen at the Hammerstein Ballroom with GCW. But
No.
I think it's very similar to me. And again, I this is just my theory. I don't have any proof or whatever, but I think it's very similar to. I think GCW could be what ECW was to WWE in the later 90s, like 96, 97,
Yes.
98, 99, where WWE was helping facilitate the funding of some things and all that other stuff, and they would send talent down there, and they would kind of make it like, oh, like this guy left WWE and now he's in ECW, and it was more like Vince being like, yeah, go down there and get your shit together and then come on back. And meanwhile, the shit was definitely not together down there in ECW, but
bouncing checks.
Well, not only that, it was just the whole locker room scene.
Well, yeah, I know, but the whole atmosphere of it.
Yeah, but for me, I could see ECW being GCW being what ECW was to WWE in the later 90s. But again, it's interesting. I talked to Brett Lauderdale and I asked him, some questions and stuff like that. And they're giving that show away on Thriller. I mean, they really are. That's a stacked pay-per-view. The venue cost them a lot of money, I'm sure. Maybe WWE and some contacts, Nick Khan, maybe helped with the building facility rental fee and stuff like that. Maybe Barnett, whomever. But for me, $7.99 for that show. And last year, I think it was or 2 years ago, it was like $39.99, $29.99. That's saying
I'd
something.
spend $30 on it. That's
sure.
It's going to be a hell of a show. I mean, I shell
I'm
out
watching
cash
it
for $8. Yeah, and it's great.
$8.
$8. It's going to be after football most likely is kind of done, or even if it's not, you can't have two screens. I know you got the triple TV man cave, so
I was going to say.
I know, Drew. You're big shot, and the ink is dry. You're gonna have a fourth TV coming up.
I think the Bills Ravens will be done by then. It's 6:30 local time, so
it'll be in the fourth quarter by the time GCW starts. But I mean, it's also the best game of the weekend, likely. So unless it's a blowout, which I don't see happening.
Two best games are on Sunday, in my opinion.
Detroit and the Commanders like to say something about that.
Detroit's gonna beat the doors off those boys.
Well, we're gonna talk about it. We'll close with some NFL before we take some questions. Does it ever get to a point where main roster talent go back and forth beyond NXT? I'd say probably, but like it has to happen first to then happen at many more times. So because they did kind of only mention NXT, but I think it's ridiculous and naive to not think that like AJ Styles for sure. Just plenty different guys and girls that could go between the main rosters and what have you. Like, give me Nick Nemeth just showing up at a WWE show and it's like they say, I don't know, someone comes up to him and says, "Oh, aren't you Dolph?" And then it's like, no. And it's like just defending the honor of TNA now. I think there's so many different avenues I think they could go down if they want to. Even just in NXT, I think it helps. And I mentioned this. I think Joe Hendry is a lock to be in the Royal Rumble. So maybe even number one.
I could see it.
I mean, the crowd would already know his song. They would chant it out. And I don't see why that theme wouldn't pop to that audience in Indianapolis. So, I believe in Joe Hendry, but I don't think he'd win.
I don't think Joe's going to win. I could easily see.
Of course he's not going to win.
I could see some interesting entries into this year's Rumble, but we'll keep it quiet for right now.
I mean, it's coming up in a couple weeks, Drew.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to leave it alone for right now.
Aren't you going to go to the Cosm to watch that?
I am. I'm going to be in Dallas at the Cosm. Me and Blake bought a front row table, and we're going to sit and watch, and I'll let you guys check out how that experience is. I'll be recording some stuff from there and everything else like that. So.
Wow. Look at you, Drew.
Yeah.
Mr. Imminent.
Mr. Imminent. You can come to Dallas if you want. Come to the Cosm.
I don't know if I can. I'd have to fly back the next day. I don't know if I can make that work.
I'm flying back Sunday too.
If it was a 3-day weekend, I consider it. If it was like President's Day weekend, but I don't know. It's tough. I work 6 days a week, so what are you gonna do?
Hardworking man over here.
This unfortunately does not pay any bill of any sort. This
Me
is,
either.
you know,
Me either.
this is my fun side hustle here.
Yeah, it's always good to talk wrestling.
Of course. And let's talk some wrestling, some actual in-ring. You know, Monday Night Raw finally had its debut on Netflix last week, but the big debut, was this past week. It finally happened. Penta debuts, has a match, a wonderful match, by the way, with Chad Gable, perfect dance partner for him. Hits a wonderful Canadian Destroyer, and Chad Gable sold it like I said, Dolph Ziggler earlier. Just a wonderful debut, kind of very fun promo after the match. And maybe he was kind of hampered by being a trios and tag team guy in AEW, but I think there's so much money to be made at a singles guy. Give me a Shinsuke versus Penta match. IC US title. And I don't think that's anything bad. He doesn't need to be going for the world title for me to buy him as a legitimate threat. So
I hate when fans, and I don't really like to use the word hate, but I hate when fans do that, where they're like, if this guy doesn't win gold, or if he's not the top of the top, if he's not a heavyweight champion by August, I'm out on this guy. All right, well then fucking pack your bags and get out. Because I mean,
they probably were fans of Piper, because Piper never won the world title either.
And to me, it's like
he turned out okay.
He doesn't need the world championship. He doesn't even need a title within the first 4 months. Like, just have meaningful television time matches on Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-views, whatever. Like, TV equity, your time on television is your biggest asset if you're a professional wrestler in this industry. And if Penta is a featured star on Raw, on SmackDown, or he's got PLE matches or Saturday night's main event matches, great. I'd love to see Penta versus Rey. I'd love to see Penta versus Shinsuke. I'd love to see Penta versus LA Knight.
Give me Penta versus Braun Breaker.
Yep. Okay, I'm here for that too. I think the world of Penta, really good dude, and I could absolutely see him having a good singles run in WWE, and I'd like to see it before we immediately go to the Lucha Bros.
Right. And do you have any idea on when that could come to fruition? It seems like Rey Fenix is stuck in purgatory, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, I don't know. I could see the earliest being, after Mania.
After Mania?
Yeah.
Just like immediately after Mania, or just...
Yeah, I don't think you're getting the Raw after Mania. I don't know. I really don't know. That could happen. That could change on, drop of a dime. I don't know. I don't know the inner workings between Tony and the stars and what's going on there and any agreements that they might have come to. I don't know. I think if Tony was asking my opinion, I'd let Rey Fenix go tomorrow. That's just me. I would just say, hey, go. You don't want to be here. I get it. Well, he doesn't want to be there, and they're not using him. And realistically, like he's not coming in to do some jobs, some favors. So what's the point?
And I kind of already know your answer to this, and I definitely am on the side of agreeing with you, but I'd like to just, maybe flesh it out a little bit more. Just the thought of Penta's merch being up 12 hours before he debuted. Now, we've had countless times in the last, 5 years, it's the worst secret in wrestling, right? Like Punk coming back into wrestling. We kind of knew that was going to happen. All these things were never announced.
Survivor Series, though.
Well, no, not Survivor Series. I'm saying when he came back to AEW, he was not in wrestling still, and all of a sudden he's going to be there. Like, it was still surreal to see that, but we all kind of knew, and they set it up
100%.
So with Penta, same type of thing. And with Cody at WrestleMania, like, we knew. They didn't say it, but we knew.
I'll tell you this:
they're just like, boom.
There were some people that did not believe that Cody was showing up at WrestleMania. I mean, they were like vigorously fighting me about that, and I was like, okay. And lo and behold, But anyways,
so the merch comes out 12 hours early. I think it's just like, again, we kind of know it's going to happen, and why not capitalize on it? And it's a quick, let's see how much he moves early. And to me, I think it sold well, to my knowledge.
I have two theories on this. One, I think that could be because a lot of the bigger companies use automated systems where they have everything loaded. I'm sure that stuff was already drawn up and marketed, and the graphics were created months before his actual debut on WWE TV. Yes, it was one of the worst kept secrets in the industry. Obviously, when Triple H was like, Pierce was like, hey, you're going to go against one of the best luchadors in the game, blah, 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 and all this other stuff. Everyone knew. Okay. They friggin' wrote out his name on the video, like vignettes. I mean, he was coming. Okay. So they could be using an automated system because I don't know exactly when he debuted, right? But I don't know when exactly the merch was made available. It was made available very early in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
They could have used the automated system and put AM instead of PM, which could happen.
Yeah, I don't see.
I'm just you. Listen, my job is to make sure I cover all bases. So I will tell you that I agree with you. I think basically they were like, all right, this guy's coming over with some hoopla. Let's push him here. Let's put out the merch. Everyone already knows. You might as well make a couple bucks and sell about 300-400 masks, some t-shirts, whatever, and let these suckers fly. I'm almost positive they had the masks up for sale in the building, which is no coincidence. So yeah, I think it's.
I don't
brilliant.
think you could cover all the bases if you hit a home run, Drew. So let's not act like
Yeah. I think why not make some money?
Yeah.
Like the people who deal in dirt were already talking about it. So, and we knew that as soon as the stuff got released or somebody saw him in the building or some bullshit, then that would have been it. So you might as well just put it out.
And we know you don't deal in dirt, Drew. That's not your gig.
I don't deal in dirt. I don't do hate or I don't bash for a buck.
No. Why would you do that? And we'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit as well. Corey says, smart move. Why not sell it on your site early before someone scoops it in the arena with a photo of Penta masks as the merch stand? I agree. You want to get ahead of that. And they already know that. And it's the flip side of let's have Cody and Kevin Owens beat each other up by the buses where only fans can see them, knowing fans are going to put it out there. Knowing fans are going to go to the merch stands, you might want to get ahead of that. That's a smart move. Corey's a smart guy.
Corey's got, look at the big brain on this guy. I like it. Hey, look what we saw at the merch stand. You remember when the first city branded Austin shirt came out and people were like, oh shit, Austin's coming back tonight.
Oh my God, I know.
And then all of a sudden it was like, they went New York 316, Chicago 316.
Everywhere.
Your sister's ass 316. Everyone was like, oh shit, like here we go. So
they had that with Suplex City though too. But he would actually be at most.
He was on the roster. Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of, this is real off the cuff, but just because I noticed things, a friend of the show, Brian Ghoulish, seems to think that Brock Lesnar will be at the Royal Rumble. What say you, Drew? Because I say nay.
I hope Brian's doing well, but I'm going to go with no. No.
I hope he's doing well, but absolutely not.
No. We'll answer this one because you've asked it a bunch, I think. Producer, if you could put that up. Where is it? There it is. Where do you put Liv for WrestleMania? I kind of feel like Triple H did her dirty! ! With the run she had, she should have had a good story into WrestleMania season.
She doesn't need the title to have a good story, though, and she can have a story with someone else without the title. I don't know.
Yeah, I think she's dead in the water. I think Liv became a bigger star this year, and sure. I think she was a main focal point on Monday Night Raw. I shouldn't say this year. In 2024, she became a very big star, and I think she's a primetime player now. And I think before she, I would say last year, in March, April, and May, she was not a major star. Now she's a primetime player. She's the focal point of Raw with the Judgment Day and Dirty Dom for months. So I think Liv's fine. A WrestleMania match.
Yeah. It's too early.
I'll go Liv Trish.
I wouldn't hate that. I still want to see Liv and Alexa Bliss, maybe.
Maybe. I could tell you that Trish is heavily involved in the Royal Rumble this year, in terms of marketing and promotion. So
I'm here for Trish.
Yeah.
You said primetime players. What are your thoughts on the primetime players as a tag team?
I miss those boys.
I interviewed those guys at my college. Yeah. Got to do the millions of dollars dance with them.
Yeah, millions of dollars. It was
a wonderful. That was my early days in my journalism career.
I miss Crime Time. Yo.
Oh, Crime Time was great. Crime Time and Cena were you want to talk trio that could have won any tournament or title? Those three.
I agree.
Oh,
sir.
Man.
All right, we got about like what 10, 15 minutes. You got to go to work, so what else we got?
Oh, we don't have to, maybe another half hour or less.
Okay.
I think we can cram this stuff in.
All right.
So we talked Penta. Let's talk. And
Production was great for Penta, by the way. Everything.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. Thoughts on his song?
Mickey Ruckus does a really good job, so I would like to have seen that one. But
I know. Shout out to him.
That was not going to happen.
He's the Jim Johnson of AEW, but
Yeah.
Jim Johnson should have a job or a Hall of Fame spot or something.
I agree.
It's crazy. So we never talk about these before we get into it, and I didn't even say, oh, do we even want to discuss this? But we're going to discuss it anyway. The next couple things, actually. First, we don't deal in dirt, but just what are your thoughts on the Corey Graves situation? If you have any. No comment.
No comment. Because who wants to go to a show? No comment. I really can't talk about that.
Well, I can comment. He's a great announcer, and whatever he chooses to do, I think he's gonna do great because he's done great so far. So on the situation itself,
full support.
He has my full support. Hey, he's a Pittsburgh guy. Of course, he has my full support. Drew, come on.
I really do appreciate when people were saying that. And JD said it, and I gave JD shit because I was just like, what the fuck does that mean? What does that mean? You're gonna, you have my full support. Were you gonna have a podcast with him? Like you're gonna send him checks when WWE
wait a second. Here's my thing, Drew. Why is showing someone support an automatic ass kissing for someone? I think that's
not what I'm saying.
That's how it comes off. You're making it seem like he wants something from him. Why can't he make a nice comment?
No. That's not what I'm saying with the comment like that. What I'm saying is you have like my full support. Like, what are you going to send him a check when WWE sends him home? You're going to support the man, him and his family and his wife. Like, come on with that stuff.
It's a nice comment to help his mental. If he goes through social media and how much negative bullshit there is, to see a nice comment from someone that is there is nice. I don't think that's crazy.
It is.
Come on,
I'm just saying. I thought some of this stuff just cracks me up because my full support. All right, man. I need 100K because I just got let go. All right, bro. Here you go. No, I'm only kidding. Listen, that's just me having some fun. With Corey Graves, I think Corey is absolutely frustrated. I think you could tell being where he was at. I think Corey has been plug and played for a while now, and Corey does a good job with whatever he's given. And I think Corey is probably a little ticked off that during WrestleMania season, he is an afterthought on NXT as an announcer. So yeah, I can see him being a little upset.
Right. And I think, like I said earlier, I think he'll embrace whatever role, even if he is upset. I think he is a pro's pro, and he knows that it is a very difficult thing. I mean, you have 2 guys here, 3 guys here. Okay. Shout out to Matt Presto. But you get a lot of
Matt,
he's doing this. Yeah, I was at his wedding. I was his best man. So
really,
yeah.
All right, shout out to Matt Presto then.
Yeah, good dude. But yeah, I think that McAfee's doing this. He's going to be doing the college football championship, so he's not going to be on Raw. And you got Joe Tessitore now. Joe Tessitore was on Raw, and now all of a sudden he's kind of doing post-show stuff. Things change all the time. Not everybody can have a 5-person commentary booth like AEW, where Don Callis and Jericho and Daddy Magic and Excalibur and Tony and Taz and everybody's on these shows.
I like Corey, but I think if you look at the name, first of all, I don't think there's a better besides Michael Cole commentator in WWE than Corey Graves. 100%. Pat's a different animal, and so is Joe Tess, because if you look at their celebrities, Pat and Joe are way higher on the celebrity food chain than Corey Graves.
They would both endorse Corey and agree with you.
Sure. And what I'm saying is, I think Corey is in a class all of his own. But again, I think WWE is moving past that type of stuff, and they're looking for the higher celebrity value, unfortunately.
Yeah, it could be that. But again, it could just be a natural shifting of these announcers doing this. I do agree, though. If it's WrestleMania time, it reminds me of Joey Styles. Remember whenever they were like,
yes,
you had me work Backlash? I
wasn't good enough to work Backlash. Yeah.
So it's a similar type thing. And here, this is a way out there sidebar, but I've just been wondering, I might have tweeted it, I'm not sure, but what do you think Joey Styles' thoughts are on AEW? because it's an alternative, but it's got ECW-esque stuff and a guy that runs it that is a fan of it. I don't know. I just find that curious.
I think this is just me. I don't know if this is true, and I don't know. Somebody should find Joey and ask him, "Hey, have you ever been contacted by AEW to work for them?" Because I would almost say
work for WWE.com.
I don't know, but I would almost say with certainty that Tony reached out to him to try and maybe get him to work for AEW when they first launched. That would be my guess. That'd be my guess.
I'd be here just to hear a Joey Styles podcast. Just to hear him talk wrestling or talk about the history of wrestling, unless he's completely kind of put wrestling.
He's in digital ad sales professional in New York City.
For who?
I don't know, dude. Like, I don't have.
Didn't say.
I have no idea. Oh.
He started selling digital advertising with WWE, and now he's doing it full time in New York City, but doesn't say who he's with.
Okay.
He's got a nice facsimile signature on his Wikipedia, though.
Yikes.
It's nice.
I never understood why Wikipedia does that. You know how many frauds, like how many fake signatures can go out there with that?
You think a lot of people are trying to fake Joey Styles' signature?
No, I think there's like Taylor Swift and stuff like that. It's pretty weird.
Well, they have everybody. Presidents, famous celebrities, figures, sports figures. They have a lot of it.
Which is even more alarming.
And sports figures, I mean, their signatures are like a scribble. Like it varies. There's maybe an official one, but no.
No.
Glad to see you boys in podcast form. You guys are going to do this for Wednesdays or Saturdays? No. Thursdays or Fridays are seemingly the best.
Thursdays preferable. It's just I had some family stuff I had to handle.
So. Yeah, family first. Drew's a family guy.
Fan of that show? Yeah.
Family Guy.
I haven't watched it in a while. Oh my God, Simpsons. 100%.
Yeah. I'll take the first 10 seasons of The Simpsons over almost any animated show.
So I will tell you, when we were in college, which is a long time ago.
Here we go. How long ago was this?
Well,
how much hair did he have back then?
I was going bald at that point. I still had.
He was Mr. Dirty.
No, I had a full head of hair. But my first year
from this era,
I had long hair.
That's kind of disturbing. That should be your new profile pic.
But anyways, I got rid of the long hair in college. It was high school. I cut it off after football. But I will say that the first 10 seasons of The Simpsons, for sure, we used to have the DVDs, and that was before you could get the on-demand stuff and like whatever. Yeah. So we would just pop those seasons in and hang out and watch. I mean, just classics.
That's what I did with Seinfeld, because it's interesting now. I always tell people there is no like nostalgia now, because everything you watch now is immediately available after. Back then it was if you did tape an episode, then you can rewatch that episode and that's it, but you can't just go back and watch anything.
Right. I will try and that's the thing, like everything's so instant. I will try and find you a picture, Phil. I don't know if I have any though, buddy. I'll be honest.
But that's why I'm a big supporter of physical media in general, especially with pro wrestling, because Peacock taking out certain things and censoring, and not WWE not paying rights for My Way for WrestleMania 17 and stuff that. Like, I hate that.
But even the DVDs they released, like the re-release, they were terrible.
The re-releases, sure, but I have the original WrestleMania 17 DVD.
You have
and it's got it on there. I don't have everything, but I'm going to tell you what I do have.
What's that?
So,
what's that? What do you do have?
Oh, plenty of wrestling DVDs. I've got too many to name here on this program. We'll be on here all night. What, you got a photo?
I don't think so. There's some other photos. I mean, you guys
go through your archives. You should replace that Mania 30 plaque and put a big blown up photo of you in college.
Nah.
Andrew,
good pictures there's some good pictures in here, though.
Drew, I don't even know if we have a photo together. We've hung out sparingly.
I think we do. It's a picture of me.
Come up with something.
A picture of me and some McMahons in here.
Oh my God! Here we go. Payroll Drew.
Right. That would change the narrative.
Control your narrative.
Control your narrative. There's a picture of me and LeBar and Issa and Matt from Wrestle Rumble.
Oh, Wrestle Rumble. R.I.P. Damn.
R.I.P.
That's what a great idea. And
I know.
It just man. I mean, it helped Chairshot. It ran with Chairshot for a while. It helped sponsor us, just like you Ticket King online.
Yeah. All right. I don't have a picture of me. It doesn't look like I have one, guys. Sorry. I wish I did.
This will be great for the audio feed, just hearing you discuss how you're scrolling for old.
Well, I
photos
mean,
of you with hair.
we're still talking and stuff. I could,
Well, of course we are, Drew. This is what we do. We're professionals.
God, I'm a goddamn professional.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live, damn it. Yeah,
Something
no, I
else
don't have one, guys. Sorry.
Something else I'd like to touch on before I kind of want to close out with the NFL stuff, because I think we can really dive into that a little bit. But just in general, and I made a video about this the other day of certain people just like being jealous or just in the IWC, quote unquote, of the spots that people have. Oh my God. What is that?
I'm like 8 maybe in that picture.
That hair, it looks like a wig.
It's not.
It looks fake. You look like Costanza when he had his toupee.
That's definitely not fake. I don't know if I have another one here.
Wrestling is real. Drew's hair is fake.
There you go. There's me with a full head of hair.
Are you a redhead?
No, it's just a picture, dude. You know, I was born in the 80s.
They didn't even have cameras when you were growing up, Drew.
That's right.
They had the ones where you had to sit in front of the camera for an hour before they took it. Like it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Looked miserable by the end of it.
Yeah.
So, Drew, anyway, you want to get back into this?
Yeah. The people, I love how the chat's like my kids, they're like, Dad, no. So my mom, funny story, my mom goes, you know, your dad had hair at one point. My kids go, nope, my dad was always bald. But go ahead.
Phil's saying he has Fatal 4-Way 2010 on DVD. I feel bad for you, Phil. That's a rough
Phil,
show.
I worked that show. That's at the Nassau Coliseum, right? I believe it was.
It was the only Fatal 4-Way pay-per-view.
Oh, okay, so it was at the Coliseum. Yeah, I worked that show. I was the event manager for that show.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That's a rough time in WWE, man. 2010, 2011.
Did Mysterio win the title?
I don't know. You were there. You tell me. I don't recall.
That
was 15 years ago. Good Lord.
All right, go ahead.
In the doldrums of WWE. Anyway, I just want to bring up this little sidebar of just more recently, and I wanted to kind of, you know, put a positive spin on what I have seen, because there was a lot of negativity throughout this past week. A lot of crazier things that we're not going to discuss in regards to this, but just like with content creation and streaming and people in the IWC. I felt that there was a lot of negativity when there was a video posted of like WWE posted something of like all these things happening, and it showed like Con Man and Wheezy and some of these other content creators, and then there were so many people.
Good person.
Yeah, shout out to Wheezy. Yeah, and that's what I was going to get to too. Is that like all these people came out of the woodwork being like jealous. It came off very jealous and like disrespectful that like they're not in this space and how are they featured and I'm not. And to me, it's so ridiculous to assume that you deserve a spot that these people have earned and you're just mad you're not there. And then before we dive in with whatever you got, specifically with the Wheezy thing that happened this past week as well, like, again, we won't really get into it, but I loved the positive kind of gathering and like rallying around her and some of the other people in the community for kind of standing up for decent people and good people in the space, because it should be more of a community than chaos. So Drew, I'll give you the floor.
Yeah. First of all, I have no time for threats. Like none.
Hell
Zero.
no.
Zilch. So
this
you know
is
that
professional wrestling. What are we doing?
Come talk to me. I talk bad. You want to talk you want to get tough. You want to get grizzly.
Put up that photo of you as an 8-year-old.
I'm just saying, like, you know, no, it's just like that to me is ridiculous. These people sit there, and whether you like the content or not, they stream things for 2-3 hours and they're sitting there and their reactions. Don't get me wrong. I have said to some other people, Wheezy is not who I'm talking about here. Some of the reactions I thought were absolutely garbage, and you could tell that they were forced. I don't believe that Wheezy's reactions are garbage. I think she's a genuine human being. Yeah. There's some others in the space that I think are genuine too. I think it's Minnie. She's very good as well. But I will say that, like, who cares? They're doing it and they're sitting there watching the show. Like, if that WWE's smart to capitalize and market off this, and so are the content streamers. And yeah, they get partnered with WWE. So what? You wish it was you. You wish it was you, right? So then put the work in and do it. Just because the craziest thing that I've seen with the IWC and even people who just want jobs in wrestling is that they just believe that just because they're on the internet and they make videos or they put out tweets or they make content or whatever, that they should have a job. Go to the job boards and see if there's a job. Like if they don't have a need for you, they're not going to hire you. I'll never understand that. Like, go to AEW careers or go to WWE.corporate.com, whatever the hell it is. Like, go find it. If there's a job opening, then apply for it. Otherwise, they're not just going to, look at this dude from Sheboygan. We got to bring this guy in right now. Like, come on, get lost.
And that compounded with like, okay, so therefore I'm going to tear down those who have earned it, who have grinded, who have put in the work. And like, you even said it, and it sounds simple. Oh, I'm just going to sit and like react for 2 hours. Drew, this can be exhausting. Just talking, like it is a lot to put yourself out there. First of all, that alone, a lot of people don't get. Putting yourself out there and putting a face to all this is a lot of people don't do that.
I wouldn't do watch-alongs. Like I just not me. Like I wouldn't do them. And I commend and applaud everybody who does. It's just not my bag, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The reaction.
Although I think we should do a match watch-along one time of a match, maybe
sure.
Something like that. But I'm not, not a 3-hour show.
I think it takes a lot. Like, what happens if you got to go to the bathroom? What happens if you got to do this? What happens? You know what I'm saying? Like that type of stuff. So I give them a lot. That's
your number one priority.
Well, I mean, I give them a lot. I give them a lot of credit. You know, I have no interest in it. I'm glad that they do because I think they have carved out a path, and rightfully so. They found something that they can, do and do well and make some money off of and get some exposure. And good for that. Yeah, good for them. I will never do the 3-hour review show. I think they're horribly long.
It's exhausting. Yeah. And this is what, to me, I like just having a normal, casual conversation. We can touch on so many different things, and it doesn't have to be like, question number one, let's keep going.
You just watched a 3-hour program, and you want me to recap what you just saw for 3 hours? I don't get it. And shout out to the people who are doing that too, but I just don't.
Right, of course. And again, it's all fine that they do that, but it's the assumption that like, oh, because they're doing it, the other person that's doing it, but they have a better spot, I'm better than them. Like, are you? Because you're complaining about it, or you're not a decent human being when you're around said people, and you can't just like be camaraderie and like have a nice, comrade with someone and be a colleague. And
the biggest thing with it and what you're saying is very true. But the biggest thing that I've seen with the IWC, minus a select few who I happen to keep close to the vest and who I keep in close contact with, I believe that people use people and people partner with this person and that person. Then as soon as they see an opportunity, they'd stab them in the back. And a lot of your favorite content streamers, in my opinion, are full of shit. And I'm not sitting here saying that I'm any better than anybody else, because I'm not. But I will tell you that a lot of these people pretend like I would never do this and I would never go work there. And this is what I would want. They'd shut their shit down in a minute. Okay.
Absolutely.
And the funniest thing for me is like these people who get on here and they're like, I'm smarter than this person and that person. And, all right, so then do the work, dude. Like, what are you jealous of Wheezy for? What are you jealous of Comment for? What are you jealous of Santi for? For what? Why? Because they're sitting there putting in the work? Okay, good. They've carved out a path. Now you could either try and carve yourself out a path, or you could find a different avenue, and maybe that'll find you riches. I don't know. Maybe that'll find you the exposure you want. But stop bitching and think that you're owed anything. You're owed absolutely nothing. Zero. Zilch.
And dragging other people down that are successful and have put the work in doesn't help your cause either. And because it costs $0 to be a nice, decent human being. Like,
misery loves company, dude.
That's why we're doing this show.
Right, because we're both because we're absolutely miserable. No, we can. Yeah, I listen.
We have smiles on our faces. Come on, we're having a good time here.
I treat this just like I treat any other shows. I would have some drinks at a bar with you, and we would hang out and talk, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what these shows should be about. If you're, there's different platforms for different things. If you want to be a pro's pro, I get it. Go ahead and do that. But it's Friday night. Like, this is me. This is my buddy, and that's it. Whatever.
Yeah, and this translates the same way if we, we're gonna probably go to All In, and hang out in Dallas. It's going to be a similar, just normal, casual hangout, buddies hanging out, doing this, talking wrestling. Okay. Right. Matt, I don't know what Matt's doing at 12:20.
That's a tough enough reference. I know what Matt's talking about.
I know it is, but he just always he loves dropping these references in that we might get, but take a bump.
Take a bump. One of your
big
references.
Fucking deal.
Yeah. Want to know what the difference between that and this is? Intensity.
Take the snap.
Yeah.
His hair flies back. Tough Enough is good. Well, you can't do that anymore. Your hair's not. You're
my hair's gone.
Get a headache.
Yeah. Tough Enough was good.
It was. Yeah, it used to be. Back in our day, Tough Enough was a real reality show.
Yeah. When Bob Holly used to beat the shit out of people.
Oh my God, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, brother. Yeah. So I'm glad we kind of hashed that type of content, out. I feel like it was something that people are discussing, but I just enjoyed, after seeing a lot of negativity, the rallying around everybody and being like, well, let's just keep going. Like, just because there's a couple of negative people in the space does not mean it drags everybody else down, and that we have to stoop to a level that is, disrespectful and not where we can just move forward as a community. So I don't know. I just, I'm glad we aren't like that.
Dude, you know how many people come for my head every day on social media?
Your bald head. Yeah.
I
see it, Drew. Yeah, I see it all the time.
I don't care. I never will.
I know, but that's what they hate. And that's what I love about you, is that you're never going to sell, Why would you sell? You just play.
I hang out with my kids, hang out with my wife.
That's right.
Life's beautiful. You don't like me? Cool. I must be doing something right.
You don't like me? Bite me.
I'm just saying, you don't like me? Okay, I must be doing something right. I just don't care. And then they'll be like, this guy's so arrogant. No, this guy just doesn't care what you think. You know who I care who thinks? I'll leave that with me.
Gotta clip that one, Drew.
Yeah. This guy's so arrogant. No, I just don't care about you because I don't know you. I don't know you. And
yeah,
you don't know me.
Well, yeah, right. And you put yourself out there.
This is me.
Your face is out there. That is you. What are we talking about?
My first and last name. Come find me. If that's what you want. Whatever. Whatever.
People are crazy, Drew. It's crazy out there.
It is. It is.
And we're just talking pro wrestling. But we're going to stop talking pro wrestling for a little bit to kind of close this out before any potential questions. And we're going to answer this. Why do content creators feel the need to make disgusting and vile comments towards Tony? I'm assuming Tony Khan. Really been turned off in regards to that. I get that to critique the product, but making fun about Tony is disgusting.
It is.
People don't know Tony Khan personally. And if you do, you're probably not making those comments. Like, it's people without a face and with a burner account or whatever. And it's nameless people behind a keyboard. If Tony Khan said, hey, come to AEW and hang out with us, it's just, like you said, they'd pack up their show and, all right, I guess I'll hang out with him.
It's so funny, I feel
the hypocrisy is nuts, man.
Yeah, I feel like, your biggest AEW critics, like if I had any say, I'd call Tony today and I'd be like, hey, let's invite some of these guys and girls. Let's have them
promote Grand Slam Australia better.
Right. But I would just say, hey, let's invite them, because you know what they're going to do? They're going to promote our show. They're going to promote that they're on their way. People are going to think that, boy, they're going to say something at that scrum. They're going to get Tony. They're going to get him. And then all of a sudden they get there and they're church mouse.
Or they ask like the most asinine questions.
Where do you think we're headed with this Moxley situation? Can you describe his next 5 opponents? Like, yeah, let me just give you everything we're doing the next 6 to 8 weeks so you don't have to tune in.
That is so ridiculous. Like, if you get one question at a media scrum, you better make sure it's a home run. Like, if you botch that, why would they?
Dude, I've had people recycle my questions because I ask it on a call, so I'm not going to end up at the show, right?
That's crazy.
And it's the exact, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
They phrase it differently.
They might throw like an end or a the in it, and I'm like, brother, you can come on. Yeah, right. I was like, come on, dude. Come on. So again, I would invite them, and if you're there, and when I'm at them, you'll never catch me asking storyline questions unless I have to read the room. Like, I think there was this one time, Wrestle Dream, I think Mariah May came out and nobody asked her. I think there was one question. At that point, you got to read the room and you got to be like, okay, it's my job to pull out a question and I'll do it. But other than that, I'm asking business or company like driven questions. Like that's it.
Right. I mean, and that's what your expertise is. And the people that are asking the storyline questions just come off
Ridiculous.
Marky.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Hey, can you see Ric Flair? It's like, all right, where are you from? Listen, I get what MVP was doing. I was just like, ooh, at that Full Gear thing because I was there, but I was just like
shredding people.
Yeah, but you want to know what? Like, I get it, but I will tell you that, like, I don't know that I get it. I get what he was doing, but I would have just, you know what that does though? Maybe that's what they want. No one's gonna ask any goddamn questions when he appears again.
Well, maybe, yeah, man. He's playing chess.
Yeah, smart man.
He's a smart man.
Yeah.
And you're a smart man too, Drew. So let's close this out before we do potential any questions with some NFL divisional picks. Huh? Let's go. Saturday, we got the Texans and the Chiefs in Arrowhead. Patrick Mahomes has 13 touchdowns and 0 picks and is 6-0 in the divisional round. I don't see that changing.
I want to show you guys something. Now, I'm not
Here we go. What kind of crazy parlays Drew got here?
I'm not sitting here saying you should gamble. You should only gamble if you can. Okay? Okay. So here's what I'm going to tell you. This is what I put together, and it's plus money. I don't know if you all can see that. I'll try and make sure my camera.
Is that Texans plus
17.5. The Commanders plus 20.5. The Rams plus 17.5. The Bills plus 10.5. That if you do all that, you get plus 109. So I'm just saying you're getting a lot of points. Now, if you want to go outright winners, let's do it. But that's a lot of points. Take anytime the NFL is willing to give you points and you can still make money, take it. If you're talking outright winners, where do you want to start?
That's where I wanted to start. Yeah, so let's just go game by game. Yeah, we're not doing this. Is not a gambling show. You know what I call gambling, Drew? Losing.
Well, that's a good. Your dad taught you well. Your parents taught you very well because Vegas was not made off of winners. I will say I like the Chiefs. I'm not going to bet against the Chiefs in the playoffs. So, they look like sometimes they look like crap last year heading into the playoffs. They limped in and they won the whole thing. So I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs over the Houston Texans. I will tell you this though. I think Houston is going to give Kansas City a little bit of problems.
The last time they played there, they only lost by 8. And yeah, last year, and it was finally the Chiefs had to go on the road, and it didn't matter. They still won every game and won the Super Bowl. So I as well will take the Chiefs. You don't think it's going to be a very entertaining game, but I disagree. Washington versus Detroit. I think Washington could beat anybody, and I don't think anybody expects them to win. So that's why I think Jaden Daniels is going to go in back against the wall, and he's going to potentially pull out a win. However, I think Detroit's going to take it, and I'm here for Detroit hosting the NFC title game. That would be a WrestleMania atmosphere.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. I will tell you this right now. Aaron Glenn made Sam Darnold see ghost again. So I'm going to tell you this, and he exposed a weakness. Don't get me wrong, the Commanders' O-line is better, and Jaden Daniels is way more mobile than Sam Darnold. But I'm going to tell you what
you are more mobile than Sam Darnold.
I do believe that the Lions are going to give the Commanders fits. I really do believe that. And the difference between the Lions and the Commanders is the Lions have a lot of weapons on the offensive side of the ball, where the Commanders, don't get me wrong, they got Scary Terry. And Jaden can move with them. I get it. But for me, I think the Lions win by 14 or more on Saturday.
It's just, to me, Goff threw 5 picks earlier, and they still won a game. Like, they find ways to win, even with a depleted defense. And I think they are dead set on, of course you want to make the Super Bowl, but making the Super Bowl purely because Aiden Hutchinson will likely be able to play in that game. It's like, if you can just make it, your best player will also be able to play.
The longer you go, the more likelihood it would be that he gets back on the field. I mean, there's a slight chance that he could make the AFC or NFC championship. So that's crazy.
I would hold off until the Super Bowl though, because you want to get him at 60 or 70% instead of 35, and then he gets hurt again.
And you get 2 more weeks. So
Right, you get that bigger break. That's why the Chiefs game is interesting because Mahomes has been sitting for 25 days.
Wow.
That's a long ass time.
Yeah. And it's tough with these layoffs. A lot of teams come out very slow.
Steelers. Don't even get me started.
Well, but I will say, like, I do believe that if the Commanders strike first in this game, watch out.
Detroit will get antsy. Yeah, they'll be like,
right.
Then
watch out. And I thought when Denver struck first and early against Buffalo, I was like, oh shit. But they, Buffalo reeled it in. So good for them.
And we'll talk about them in a moment. Saquon and the Eagles host the Rams. I think the Rams will give them fits. And if everybody kind of goes to plan with their passing game, I think they can, hold their own with anybody. I still think the Eagles are going to win. It's the running attack is too much, I think. And when they need to pass, they got AJ Brown. They have Devontae Smith.
I tried to call somebody who was giving you a good Corey, if you're watching, I tried to call you.
Corey, you calling?
Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, I think the Eagles are going to win. But I would not be shocked if the Rams held it together for more than 3.5 quarters. So I don't know.
Man,
I think their rushing attack is too good.
He's watching. Here you go. Corey.
Oh yeah, I'm here. Don't worry.
All right.
I'm here.
All right, go ahead. Are you scared of the Rams on Sunday?
Absolutely not. Let me tell you something. Listen, the Rams are going to come out there and they're going to come in Philadelphia. And as soon as they step on that snow, because it will be snowing up there, I'm just going to look and laugh at them as they walk on the field because they're going to realize their last game of the season will be played right there in Philadelphia. And I'm going to watch the Eagles cover the 6.5 and win this game easily. Why? Because it's the Birds. Go Birds, of course.
Corey, are you scared of having to go to Detroit?
Absolutely not. And if we go to Detroit, we can beat them. We played better on the road anyway this year.
All right. I love you, buddy. See ya.
What he's neglecting to say is what happens if Hurts gets hurt and they have to rely on Kenny Pickett.
So Corey's going to hate me because I think the Rams are going to show up. I'm not going to pick against the Eagles.
Same, but I think they'll give up a fight.
I think the Rams lose a tight game by like 3. I just think Saquon's going to be so hard to stop. Yeah, I really do. I believe Saquon's going to be so hard to stop. And the Rams have a really underrated young pass rusher.
They do.
Their D-line is fantastic, but I think the big question mark for me on the Eagles is I think it's Hurts. I really do.
What did he throw for, like a buck something in the last game? Like, he's got to do a little bit more than that to make sure they win a little bit more comfortably.
Yeah. I love Corey's confidence, but I don't know if the Eagles cover that spread.
What is the spread?
6.5.
Oh no, I think the Rams easily get within that. I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
It would not shock me if the Rams go into Philly and win.
Anything could happen in the World Wrestling Federation.
Anything can happen in the National Football League. I hope they don't for Corey's sake, because my team's been out since like week 7. So
Oh, we know. The Jets are always the Jets are out as soon as training camp starts.
I need a new co-host.
Stop the stream. Here we go.
Go ahead.
the ink on the new contract doesn't have me in it. The final game, and I think
we got 2 games. 2.
We just did the Eagles and
you're right.
But I was gonna say I think the Eagles and the Rams and the next game could be affected by snow as well. So that also throws some craziness into the picture. But arguably the best game of the weekend. Both quarterbacks could be easily an MVP. You could make a case that they could be co-MVPs like they did twice before in 97 and 03.
I think whoever wins this game is your MVP.
Yeah, well, technically the voting is supposed to stop before, but I think it will definitely show you who. But Ravens in Buffalo, it's going to be crazy. It's just like Detroit, but outdoors. It's nuts atmosphere. Flaming tables are going to be happening. I don't think Buffalo can stop the rushing attack of the Ravens, and I'm picking the Ravens to win.
Wow. I don't hate it. I think Corey said, Corey, I agree with Ohio State 100%. There's no doubt.
I think the only team that could have beat Ohio State was Penn State, and they couldn't beat Notre Dame. So,
right. So I think Ohio State rolls Notre Dame. Man, this is the matchup. This is the heavyweight fight that everyone's looking forward to. The Bills and the Ravens. And then truthfully, the winner of that, if the Chiefs get through Houston, which I think they will, that's another heavyweight fight.
No, can't wait for that. But this is crazy.
This is it. So for me, I'm gonna go with Josh Allen and the Bills. I think that it's in Buffalo. You know, it's Lamar's used to the cold, all that other stuff. So that doesn't really affect him. But I just think the Bills show up. I think they have more. They're younger. There's a lot of tread on Derrick Henry's tires right now. I don't know how he's going to be come this game. He looks great, but you never know.
Him against the Steelers?
Yeah, well, the Steelers are garbage.
You don't got to tell me something I don't know, but I mean, Derrick Henry is still the king.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to go with the Bills.
I think the Bills and the Ravens, like their quarterbacks, their coaches, all have a lot to lose, and there's a lot of pressure on both to come out of this because Lamar hasn't even gotten to the Super Bowl yet, and Josh Allen should be in a Super Bowl or more AFC Championship games, but it just hasn't happened. So this is a really gut check of a game, and I'll be here for it.
I mean, you know, I'm looking forward to it. You know, that and the GCW show on Sunday are
that's the best thing. We get to close out with some great wrestling at the end of it from Hammerstein. Yeah. You know, you couldn't have it any other way to me.
No, and everyone's off on Monday, right?
I'm off. Yeah.
Well, I'm not, but my kids are.
Good for them, Drew.
Yeah,
we get you get an episode of Raw though. You get the national championship game. Not all is lost on Monday.
That's true.
You know,
that's true.
So
that's true. What else we got? Should we take some questions real quick?
Yeah, let's take some questions because that's all I got on the docket, and we covered over an hour and a half. So pretty good stuff.
Fun fact: Jalen Hurts and the Eagles have beaten every QB left in the playoffs except Stroud, who they haven't played. Interesting, Corey.
Yeah, except the time where Jalen Hurts and the Eagles didn't beat Mahomes in the Super Bowl when it counted most. So.
Well, if you're going by the Super Bowl logos too, this has green and red in it.
Well, run it back. I'd sign up for an Eagles Chiefs matchup again.
No.
I want it to be the Lions, but the Eagles, that was a great game they had.
Well, I mean, the red could be the Texans, the Chiefs, and the Bills.
Oh my God, it's not going to be the Texans.
Well, the Texans, Chiefs, and Bills all have red in them. The green, the only one that's remaining with the green is the Eagles. So, who do you think KO will do? Can we put this up on here, Mr. Producer?
What do you think KO will do at Mania? He deserves a big match, IMO. And he's had big matches.
He's going to have Randy Orton.
You think Randy Orton? You don't think? Yeah. How do the Steelers do the Super Bowl? Okay. Here's the thing. I can talk, objectively about other teams without having to say that my team is doing well. Like, I know that the Steelers are trash. And I know that their defense is porous, and they haven't won a playoff game in 8 years, and they've been blown out of the last 6 games. Like, I get it. He is not, but Sirianni is, which is crazy. Man. If the Eagles lose, they fired coaches for less.
Bro, none of these
Chip
coaches.
Kelly had a couple 10-win seasons. He got the can.
Listen to me. None of these coaches that are remaining are getting fired. None. None.
Ask Corey. They're the Philly. They run through coaches.
Who the hell is Philly going to bring in? They're not firing Nick Sirianni. No.
If he doesn't win the big one, I'm just saying they did it with Andy Reid. They did it with Chip Kelly.
No, Tomlin's not out either. Phil.
No. Unfortunately,
the Steelers don't operate like that.
They don't do that. That's not how they work.
No, none of these coaches are going anywhere. If they wanted to fire Tomlin, they would have done it now. They didn't.
They shouldn't. No, they shouldn't fire him. They should do a trade and get as much as they can for him. But he has a no trade clause, which is absurd. I got plenty of straws, Corey.
Whoa, this is getting real.
We can talk Starcade. We can talk football.
Y'all two need to get a room or something. This is getting weird.
Drew, spare me. Tomlin has that iron. Yeah, he does. He does.
Dude, there was this reel of this dude like talking, because you mentioned the Big Show, this dude talking smack to this guy in his car, and he's just like, "You cut me off, you whatever, get out of the car." And this dude gets out of the car, and he's giant. And the music hits, and it's like, "Well," and it was awesome.
Oh man,
you can trade coaches. Yes,
Parcells, didn't he get traded?
I think so.
And then I know Sean Payton was like out of coaching, but he got dealt with like picks to Denver.
Yeah. If you still have a contract, they could deal you, or if you like retire with years on the contract, et cetera, et cetera.
And John Gruden as well, I believe Matt says.
Yes.
And one quick thing, you talk about the Big Show. Go out of your way to watch some early the Giant.
I've seen
matches.
the Giant. I've seen the Giant
with some drop kicks and smoking coming to the ring.
And somebody interrupts him in like mid-cigarette, and he gets pissed.
Yeah, well, watch him and Scott Norton from Fall Brawl '97. That's a battle of the hosses.
You are a WCW nerd, but I love it and I appreciate
through
it.
And through, baby.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody remaining is getting fired. I will tell you this: if Mike Tomlin, for whatever reason, was let go, the Jets should 100% pick him up. I think Aaron Glenn's the new Jets head coach. I think that happens probably after the Lions get eliminated, which could be February. But I will say that
where's McCarthy going?
I would love Mike to get an interview with the Jets. I don't know if that's going to happen. I will say this: I think the likelihood of Aaron Rodgers playing in Pittsburgh is high.
I know, and I don't want to see that. I want mobility, or I want, if Aaron Rodgers goes there and they suck, I'm tired of picking 20th every year. You can't get a franchise quarterback picking in that realm. You got to either suck for a while. That's how they got Ben. That's what you do, and I'll look at every team left in the playoffs. All those picks were either high picks or the Steelers passed over. Like they picked someone else and they could have had Jalen Hurts.
Or you could be the Packers and just draft franchise quarterback after franchise quarterback after franchise quarterback.
True, but Love doesn't have any weapons or healthy weapons.
I mean, you could go back and sit back and say Favre really didn't have any weapons, and then Rodgers didn't have any weapons.
Jordy Nelson, Donald Driver.
Okay, take Jordy Nelson and Donald Driver off of those teams. I mean, they're okay. They're not. It's like with Brady, dude. Brady made lacrosse players look good. Okay.
I think you played on him. White guy playing receiver.
I played for the Jets.
And you used to have hair.
Well, yeah. Haven't you heard?
It's not in your bio. Only Mr. Eminent is in the bio.
Steelers could actively tank and you're not wrong.
Of course they do, but that's annoying. I'm tired of that. Yeah. The standard is a standard, and the standard is mediocrity.
Yeah.
But I can admit that, Corey.
See?
And how about this? Let's. I mean, I'm sure maybe you don't want to talk hockey, but I mean, have you ever seen the Flyers win the Cup? No.
Have I ever seen the Flyers
win
the Cup?
No, because you were born after 1975. The Pens have won 5 in that time span, 3 in the last 10 years.
I was going to say they won 3 since I've been on this earth, I believe.
No, the 90s. Yeah, 91 and 92. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah. Right now, the plan is for AEW Grand Slam to air on TNT after the All-Star coverage, which could be...
That's crazy.
Which could have which could be a gigantic lead-in, but the show itself would start in Brisbane at 2:30 a.m. Eastern time late Friday night. So it could be simulcast on... Could be live broadcasted on TNT or Max. We'll have to wait and see.
I mean, how late will that go? You know how long the 3-point contest goes.
I don't know. The Pens can't.
Oh my God, Corey, the Capitals. I mean, I'm a big fan of Ovechkin. I hope he breaks. I actually hope he gets close to the record and then has a chance to do it where I could see it if it happens in Pittsburgh. That'd be.
I remember one of the happiest days that I can remember being an Islander fan was when the Capitals traded or lost. I think they actually lost Barry Trotz to the New York Islanders. That was one of the greatest days of being an Islander fan because I knew we finally had a coach, and the Islanders should have won 2 cups back to back.
Not beating the Pens when the Pens should have had their 3rd cup in '93 in a row, and they had their best team arguably out of the 3, and the Islanders beat them, I think, in Game 7.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Islanders beat the Pens twice on their back-to-back Eastern Conference final runs, but I mean, and then they went up against the Lightning. So
Juggernaut Lightning.
It was brutal. It was brutal watching that. Absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal.
Yeah, hockey can be brutal whenever it's not going your way.
All right, guys and girls, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah.
That is Juice Springsteen. I'm Andrew Baydala. We are going to head on down the road. Juice, why don't you tell everybody where they could like, subscribe, follow you?
At Juicy Steen, as you can see here in the box below on Twitter, I always talk WCW, current wrestling, football, whatever you want to talk about. Seinfeld, I'm here for it. You can listen to the Juice Box every time on Friday, generally at least one episode, maybe more. You never know. I've been putting this episode in the feed as if you want an audio component to this, if you don't want to watch it on YouTube. But it's always great hanging out with Drew. Glad he came through this week again. So 2 weeks in a row. Can we make it 3? I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
I'll be here next Thursday, I think.
The following one, you'll be at the Royal Rumble in Dallas. The Gaza.
I leave Friday, so I'll be here.
Wow. 4. Oh my God.
I'll be here. Let's check the calendar. Wow. Let's check the docket.
That's right.
23rd, I'll be here. 30th, I'll be here. So we are here.
Okay. Hell yeah.
Hope you guys and girls are enjoying this. We will be back. We're going to do it Thursdays, not Fridays, unless something, happens, but we will be doing this.
We do
Thursdays. Yeah, I think that's the right time to do it. There's no more football. And Friday nights, I like to be in bed. I know I'm old. I like to be in bed by now. All right. So
me too. You're telling me.
I appreciate everybody joining us. I appreciate Corey, Phil, Matt. Who else we saw on here? There was
that
Kane.
316 guy was in here. He was here last week, I think.
Yeah,
Kane.
Casa de Studios, whatever. I don't know what that is. I apologize. But
there's Nicholas is in here. We mentioned
Tay-Tay.
Yeah, Tay-Tay was in here, of course.
Mr. Abreu. I am at Andrew Baydala. It's right there. If you try and get a rise out of me, you won't. There's only one person right now.
I was gonna say, I know someone that could do it,
but you won't. I love you guys. I appreciate the love and support. But if you're looking for me anywhere, I'll be on X. Normally, I'm here on Thursdays. Today was obviously something different, but I enjoy the show with Juice. It's refreshing. Juice comes up with all the topics. I just sit here and give you the best I can, and Juice is kind of the mastermind behind all this. I just kind of show up, so I appreciate everything. And, follow Juice. Check out his stuff. He's a WCW historian. And if you want some wrestling news every once in a while and you want to hear what I think about AEW, WWE, and some other stuff, go follow me on X. Good night. Thanks, guys. See ya. See ya. Go Rams. I'm just kidding, Corey. I guess go Birds. See ya.